these strong men. God, is there anything sexier than a man who is like men for Kamala?
Woman wants to be president?
Well, I hope she has the guts to look me right in the eye and accept my full-throated endorsement.
Kamala's for they, them. President Trump is for you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
For years, the left has been attacking men, going after the patriarchy, talking about toxic masculinity, the horrible male gaze, right? Demonizing basically men in general. And now that it's election time, guess what? They're surprised there's a huge chasm in support among the genders. But the left has no one to blame but themselves. Now, fortunately, the young men are actually fed up with that message, hearing that they're horrible just simply because of the way they were born. And now they're listening to alternative media sources and abandoning everything that is woke and on the left. And thank goodness it is none too soon. So what I want to show you today, of course, is a little bit of this on display. But before we get to the videos, please like and comment so we can break through the algorithms. Here we go.
I'm with NBC News. We're trying to talk to young voters.
And among young men at this NFL stadium in a battleground state,
Probably I'll vote, but probably for Trump.
You want to tell us who you're planning to vote for? Trump?
growing support for former President Trump.
Why Donald Trump?
I enjoyed his policies, and he did treat us pretty well.
For generations, the youth vote has favored Democrats.
You go first.
But this year,
does it feel like more young people are becoming more conservative or trending in that direction?
Definitely.
It's a gap that's shrinking, with young men driving that shift. Vice President Kamala Harris's lead among men 18 to 29, now within the margin of error.
Why Vice President Harris?
Because I'm not voting for anybody else.
But President Biden won young men by 11 points in 2020 exit polls. For many of them, it's all about one issue.
Well, the obvious issue is going to be the economy.
Issues you care most about?
Economy.
Economy is the top issue for you? Why?
I mean, I'm working and I live alone, so that's a big part for me.
You see more excitement among young men for your message?
Yes.
Dante Thompson is the executive director of the Georgia Young Republicans. He and his volunteers are hitting the economy message hard.
Men want to be in control of their own destiny, and those are talking points that we use when we talk to them.
Former President Trump chasing the demographic, making multiple appearances at UFC fights, and doing a round of podcasts with hosts popular among Gen Z men.
So this is something that always impresses me about Donald Trump, right? For years, it's like, okay, the Democrats are going to win the youth vote. They're going to win the Hispanic vote. They're going to win the black vote. But what does Donald Trump do? He says, you know what? I'm going to take away some of that market share. I'm going to actually go into these places and talk to these people directly. I'm going to appear on the podcast they listen to and make the argument that I am the better choice. And fortunately, it was only a few years ago that he actually was president and everything was wonderful compared, of course, to now. So this makes the choice very, very easy. But of course, one of the other problems that the Democrats face is that their policies are basically insane.
I think the polling this morning and the week, I think David's right. It was a rough week. I mean, her faves are down. They're struggling with, the front page of the New York Times this morning, front page story, Democrats struggling with African-American voters, particularly African-American men. This gender gap issue is real. It's a real problem, and you see the Democrats reacting to it. And I think what they are now finally in October, the election, coming to realize is that a lot of men think Democrats care more about dudes who want to become women than dudes who just want to be dudes.
Well,
and no hunting, cosplay, or cringy videos is going to change it. The bet is made.
That actually resonates, okay? When was the last time you heard about any type of outreach for men from the left, right? What are we going to do to get men better jobs? What are we going to do to get men back in the workforce? What are we going to do to get men into college, all right? It's always about women or minority groups, etc., all right? It's never focused on men. And of course, we're seeing the results when you look at unemployment rates and future prospects and college graduation rates, and it all points to the fact that men are being left behind. And as Scott Jennings actually points out right there, yeah, they care more about the dudes who want to be chicks than they care about the dudes themselves, right? And they have made their bed and now they're reaping the rewards, right? This is truly hilarious to see. But this, of course, isn't going to be pointed out just by this panel.
And I want to talk a little bit about ad spending, especially on the GOP side, because in the first week of October, the GOP ads ramped up their spending on LGBTQ issues specifically, spending more than $8 million on ads that referenced it, only second to taxation. Do you think that's a smart move?
It's all part of the culture wars. Why does Hulk Hogan show up at a Republican convention and rip his shirt off? It's all a matter of trying to send a signal that we're for people like you and the other side is not.
Margie, how does Harris combat that? That's a lot of money toward a very specific issue. They're clearly trying to reach people, they think this is effective. They're spending a lot of money on it.
I mean, look, if you're talking about the culture wars, in that respect, if the culture wars says something that Democrats now have won, Republicans have ceded.
What are these specifically? A lot of these ads are based around transgender people and what they deserve from the government or not. Are these issues that are coming up that people are bringing up to you in your polling and your focus groups?
People who are attracted to Donald Trump bring it up a lot, particularly the issue of transgender women, transgender athletes in women's sports. That seems to be the real key point that gets people upset. But it's not anywhere near as important as immigration or the economy or abortion or any of those other issues. But it is an issue that appeals to a certain segment of Trump supporters.
So notice how they refer to this big ramp up in spending as basically LGBTQ plus issues. No, it's just the T. All we really care about is the men in women's sports. And we're pointing out the weirdness because that's a winning point with Americans. And it's not as important as immigration. It's not as important as inflation in the economy, but it is something people care about. And for far too long, we have ceded the ground of the culture war. And now it's time to take some of that back because guess what? The American people don't agree with it, especially men, and especially men who actually have daughters. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and stay safe out there, people, because they're coming after you.